When I first heard about the 3-for-1 principle, I wanted to know. I wanted to know right then what it was. How do I get exactly 3 hours for every hour that I might put in to whatever I'm doing or interacting with people? And it isn't a quick answer. It's actually something that you have faith in and that you work towards. There's no fast answer for it. It's changing your life and adapting your life. When you start a workout program, everybody says it's about changing your lifestyle, and that's what the 3-for-1 principle means for me, is changing my lifestyle in such a way that I'm gaining 3 hours for every hour that I put in.
Well, I didn't understand like how it could be possible to, have time actually come back to me when there's only 8 hours in a workday, or only a 24-hour period. You have to sleep, and so you can only get so much done, and I just my body just wouldn't accept the 3-for-1 principle. Well, I guess I've learned in my life that sometimes doing things you don't want to do ends up really paying off in the long run, so I just stuck with the people that had been talking about it and kept listening to it, and it started to eventually make sense.
I think I need to explore it more. I feel still kind of like I'm not exactly sure how it all works, what it looks like. I say it sounds great, but I'm the kind of person, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So I would want to make sure that it actually is going to be accurate and helpful in my life. Also, I know that the key to so many things in my life is consistency. So without consistency, it's not going to happen. And I see that for myself personally. So even with coming to things like the breakfast in the morning or whatever, if I'm not going to choose to do it and I'm not being consistent, no one is going to make it happen for me. I have to make it happen. So the 3-in-1 principle, or 3-for-1 principle, seems like that kind of a thing, that if I'm not going to do it, I choose to do it. So kind of seems too good to be true, but again, I'd probably need to explore it more and actually see how it applies.
Well, I've spent most of my adult career searching for the next greatest, most effective, most expensive time management tool, and they're all focused on getting more done in a given amount of time, which is completely logical. But what I'm finding out from the little bit of exposure I've had to the 3-for-1 principle is that there is a way to develop tools and skills and techniques that do actually start to create time because of the way you manage it. It's not magic. It just has to do with the way you structure the things that you do and how you set them up from the very beginning to create more time at the backside. Well, that it's ridiculous that you can't actually produce more time. And to this day, it's elusive. It's a difficult concept to get across and to get your arms around. But if you bite it off, and what I'm finding is that biting it off in small pieces and starting to just use a tool or a technique at a time, rather than trying to pretend that I even understand it, has been the most effective way to get through it.
3-for-1, that doesn't work. I mean, that sounds great in concept or in theory, but that's impossible. Absolutely impossible. Now that I experience and I see it, it's amazing how all of a sudden it just works. I have extra time. People are doing things for me. I don't even know. They just do it, and it's freed up my time. I'm making money from that. I like it.
Hi, my name is Mark Boersma, president of Synergy Solutions, and when the Vision Project approached me about sharing some of the secrets, the mysteries, the insight on how I was able to get an additional 20 hours a week that I don't even know what to do with, I said, I'd love to, because it's taken really probably over 3 decades for me to discover that for myself. And when they first approached me and interviewed me about it, they said, we're a little bit cynical, a little skeptical. Is this really possible that you, as an international author and speaker, and you have 7 children, you're working on 3 books right now, you're the president of your own company, you've got a million different things. Is it really true that you have an extra 20 hours of work, or 20 hours a week, that you don't even know what to do with? And I said, it actually is. And they said, well, tell us a little bit about that. Like, what's the story? And it's an interesting story because for years, owned my own company, been an international author and speaker, and like most people, didn't have enough time. I'm always running out of time, always struggling with how do I keep up with all the priorities in life. And what was it? Probably about 15 months ago, I had been working on, in my journal, an algorithm that would analyze all the different opportunities that I had, because I had so many opportunities. One of the previous books that I'd written was Community Business Partnerships with the past president of Century 21, Tom Kuntz. And after writing that book, I had even more opportunities, so many that I couldn't keep up with them. And I'm like, I've got to figure out some type of a system, some type of a process that I can put together that will analyze all my different opportunities and tell me which ones I should pursue. And so I spent a lot of time in the journaling and figuring it out and coming up with this algorithm, and finally I had it. And I put it in place, and it didn't work. I'm like, oh no, what am I going to do now? And I said, well, Mark, you got to come up with, like Napoleon Hill, when he talks about in this laws of success and Think and Grow Rich, whatever the mind can conceive and it believes it can achieve. And I thought, I've got to come up with something that I've never thought of, never heard of. The 3 bachelor's degrees, I mean, that didn't do it. I've never read in a book. I've never heard anybody. I've got to come up with something way outside the box. And I said, well, why does one need priorities? The only reason that we need priorities is if we're not going to get to something. And then I had a wild thought. I thought, well, what if I pursued every opportunity that came across my path? My left side of my brain's going crazy. I'm like, are you insane? I mean, it's going to hurt your marriage. It's going to hurt your relationship with your kids. You're going to get killed. You're going to go in a nut house. I mean, there's no way in the world that you're going to be able to keep up. And my right side of the brain, creative side, is like, I mean, that's great. I mean, I need to be able, I'm going to do this as an experiment to see. And so I started doing everything that came across my desk. It was interesting because nothing really seemed to change. And 3 months later, kind of out of nowhere, all of a sudden 20 extra hours a week just appeared. I couldn't figure it out. And I looked back and I said, it went all the way back to that counterintuitive, that thing where I stretched myself way beyond my comfort zone, and I started to pursue every opportunity that came across my desk. It worked so well that I approached Tom Kuntz, the most recent past president of Century 21, who was also on that board of Easter Seals and helped raise over $100 million for Easter Seals. This guy's got a billion ideas, and we were out in Nashville, and I said, Tom, I've been kind of experimenting with this. He says, yeah, how's that going? I said, it's going great. I have 20 extra hours a week. I don't even know what to do with. I said, what I want to do is I want to test this thing, and I need to pursue every idea, every opportunity comes across your desk. I want to help pursue it. He says, he started laughing like Tom does, and he says, all right, well, let's do that. And what's interesting is that I am doing 100 times now what I did before, but I'm still maintaining the extra 20 hours of free time. I have so much free time that my kids are like, Dad, don't you have time to, shouldn't you be writing another book? I mean, I date every one of my kids every week. My 16 and 17-year-old daughter love Barbie movies, so I watch Barbie movies with them. And what I've realized is that I've really discovered the natural law of how we can get 3 hours back for every 1 hour we put in. It's interesting, as business people, we invest $10,000, and what do we expect back? We expect $10,000 plus something else. But not with time. And that was the missing element. It was a mind shift that forced me outside my comfort zone so far that I had to learn to think in a different way. And what I recognize is that time is like money, and if we're good stewards with money, we gain more money. A lot of people, not all, but a lot of people that don't have money, it's because they're not good stewards. They don't know how to invest it. They don't know how to save it. They don't do delayed gratification, so they spend it all. Well, if we spend it all, we're not going to have anything. The same thing is true with time. And so the 3-for-1 principle, it changed my life forever. And when the Vision Project approached me, I said, I'd love to share it, because how cool would it be, not only if I, but all those people around me, and really, why not all 7 billion people on the planet? What if we all had an extra 20 hours a week? And that's really what the 3-for-1 principle is all about. Dig into it, learn more about it. There's 5, 6, 7 natural laws that once we learn and master these natural laws, which took me over 20 years to do, almost 3 decades to do. Hopefully it'll take you less time, and those that are involved in the Vision Project, they're associated, they understand the natural laws, and I'm sure that they would love to help you. This is an exciting project. Get involved. It will change your life forever.
So out of the 3-for-1 principle, I've found that investing in relationships is one of the best ways that you can receive 3 hours for every hour you put in. If I'm able to talk to somebody for an hour and start a business with them and start a partnership with them, that's not 3 hours for 1 hour. That's thousands, hundreds of thousands of hours that I would have been putting in, that I'm splitting that with somebody that I trust and that I've invested in.
Well, time related, I can't identify anything, but I can tell you that things that I've really struggled with or said I didn't have enough time for, I've found a way to get those done without me actually doing it.
Well, there are several different, part of the concepts of it, it works hand in hand with the 5 time management freedom fighters, and those have to do with either delegating or have to do with delegating or developing systems. And so as you identify different challenges for time or different things that you have to get done, they usually fit into one or more of the 5 time management freedom fighters. So, successes for me have been in not only delegating, but being a part of training somebody else. So for me, it has to do with bringing people that have worked with me, helping them find tools to bring themselves to a new dimension so that they can operate in a way that really does create it. They actually do some of the work the way I would do it or to the level that I would do it. And so what that does is it creates, it sounds so simple, but it's really tough. Instead of leading people, what I'm doing is empowering them and sharing the load with them so that things get done when I'm working on something else. So in a given hour in a day, if I'm working on a project, 3 other projects that I normally would have had to do serially in the next hour and the next hour and the next hour, those are happening at the same time. So in a given hour from noon to 1 o'clock, if I'm working on one project, 3 other projects are getting done at the same time because I've structured it with those people in a way that now 4 things have gotten done in a given hour.
Well, one of the systems with MCAT, I don't have to do anything. Once you set it up, I don't have to put a repeat pattern into it. It just keeps going. And I have someone who helps out with that if I miss something, it's done. I don't do it. To me, it's almost like 10 for 1.